summarizing, what we see is that only high-level leadership is not going to matter. We have also had the recent pandemic as the major disruptor and creating more gaps. Therefore, between economy and ecology, it should not be prioritizing one over the other, but there should be a very careful planning of integrating the two or bridging the two in terms of long-term as well as short-term. Some may say, for short-term, I don't mind experimenting with the ecology. For immediate economic gains, I have to fight poverty, etc. So, countries like Norway, which have been in the forefront of, looking at aligning everything, governance structure around the climate change and climate justice, it had to also reverse during the pandemic because they had to look at stimulus package with subsidies and bailouts, even for the fossil fuel industry. It's very sad because there was so much of livelihood associated with that. So the transition will take time, but in the middle, there is a danger that we may give up our political will, which should not be given up, and the agenda should continue. National level political swings also sometimes, in United States, for example, nobody spoke about their Paris commitment. If you look at the election campaign, just analyze the discourses. So this is one thing, and majority of the people in domestic constituency see the benefit, but the political leaders are always playing around the feelings of the people. So people who are aggressively industrializing and business like, they seem to get the support as well, because people see hope in money and not looking at whether that money in the long term is friendly or not, is it coming from the right means or not. For now it may be good, but in the long run, like plastic, for example, in the beginning it was great, but today look at the harm it is causing. So how do we design the climate governance landscape in the light of these challenges? So a proper perception is first, forum is next. We should not have distorted perception, we should have proper perception. And climate change alliances, like how we had with G20, instead of just looking at mega global players to come together, which never happens. And then climate governance landscape will be more effective if there are multi-actor alliance. For example, we should have alliance of the youth. That's how the youth case came before the United States. Indigenous people, marginalized groups, creative public policy spaces where it is more democratized, then it will be more impactful. So what are the lessons we learn from climate action? One is link the goals with the mission, with the central mission of youth organization or tribal organization. Second is have climate governance action both internally and externally. For example, I run the college. In the college, how far am I climate friendly? How are my environmental ethics? For example, we were in the global audience meet, one of the Australian deans revealed how they are very particular about reflecting this policy even in the law school governance. So innovation, we should encourage innovation than being reactive, how to, like instead of saying we can't lower the carbon emission, you try to spruce up science and technology, you support these to register their IP, you allow open sourcing, whereby many will have access to this new technology, you encourage waste management policy. Tomorrow we are going to talk about waste management. Risk reduction is another. Operational sustainability is another, because economy is very closely bound up with ecology. We can't segregate the two. Climate equity is another, those who are more affected to be prioritized. Leveraging your ecosystem to fix the ecosystem. Use the ecosystem to fix the ecosystem. For example, have the industry, don't close the industry, but make the industry more green. Get products, but don't get usual products, make a green product.